Woo! What's going on, guys? Arms Forum coming at you guys on the video. In today's video, we're still talking about the Lions draft picks. The Lions drafted defensive end Ahmed Hassanein out of the Boise State Broncos in the 6th round at 196 overall. Now, this is more of just an introduction to the guy. Obviously, the draft has come and gone. And but like I said before, I'm always a day late and a dollar short. I'm trying to get these out as fast as I can. Sometimes I get caught up and I can't get them. But Holmes finally gets a defensive end. Everybody can kind of like slow down a little bit. And in the 6th round with a high ceiling but a very raw player. Now we'll talk about Ahmed. He's 6'3", 270 pounds, 22 years old. His college stat, 4 years at Boise State as a Bronco, 119 tackles, 35 tackles for loss, 1 fumble recovery, 3 forced fumbles, and 24 sacks in 4 years. 22 sacks in the last 2 years at Boise State. He was more of a starter in his last 2 years, 2023 and 2024. He had 17 quarterback hits last year. That put him at number 3, 5th in pressures, 62, 2024. He had a 16.1% pass rush win rate. First Egyptian to play FBS football and to be drafted as well. 5-6 years only playing football, which is crazy. A former CrossFit champion, so he's a super athlete. He was a wrestler, soccer, swimming. The guy did everything except play football as a kid, and didn't know anything about the game of football, which is crazy. The kid was born in the USA. But he is Egyptian. He's from Cairo, apparently, or his family was, or something like that. But he was born in the USA. I think he was born in California, and then he moved back to Egypt when he was around 6 years old. Then he moved to Africa, moved to a couple spots. Egypt's pretty dangerous. I think they're moving around a little bit, and then back eventually to the States to be with his brother. His brother was a high school football coach. I think he played semi-pro ball as well. He was a slot guy. I think he might have been a wide receiver. I think he might have been a wide receiver or a defensive back. I'm not 100% sure. But he did play a semi-professional football too as well. And then he eventually came home to his brother in the States. When he was 6 years old, though, like he left, then came back. He forgot the English language, which is pretty crazy. He's speaking Arabic, his whole time there. I think his mother was physically and mentally abusive towards him. She was an addict, drugs. I don't know. Hopefully, she's better now. But he's had some trouble growing up. He was a little bit of a wild child as a kid. Not a bad kid, but just getting in trouble a little bit here and there. Nothing that I heard that was too outlandish. But he had some trouble growing up. He had trouble growing up, man. And then coming back and then being under the care with his brother. With his brother was challenging for Ahmed and his brother. They worked through it. Obviously, man, the high school days, he'd been playing only football like since 2019, which is crazy. That's 6 years, man. That's 6 years. 2019, 2020, 1, 2, 3, 2, 4, 25. It's 25 this year, so 6 years. Going on 7, 2025. And the kid was drafted in the NFL. Wild story. Now, the kid is a good football player, and look, we'll talk about him. They got nothing but good things to say to him. His old Boise State coach, Spencer Danielson, is his Boise State head coach. Nothing but praise for the kid, how much of a leader he was, how much of a hard worker he was, how much of a guy that just would never back down from anything, and eventually got a starting gig, to his 3rd year at Boise State. So that's really impressive too. And if you go look at some of the tape, I had to get this from I've been reading a couple articles on Hassanein, and a lot of it said go check out that Oregon Ducks tape and that Penn State Nittany Lions tape, and I'll tell you what the kid really is, going up against high competition. Those are two really good schools, two really good football programs in Oregon, and Penn State, and he did excellent versus those teams. I didn't write the stats down. I should have, but he proved that he belonged at the college level, playing against that upper tier kind of college talent up there. So this Lions depth chart at defensive end is not overly impressive. Obviously, we got Hutchinson. Hopefully he comes back 100% healthy. He's looking better in his tapes. He's put out a couple videos, and I think he looks great. I know there's a lot of people that don't think he does, but I think he looks pretty good for a guy that literally broke his leg in two spots. So, and then you got Marcus Davenport, as his bookend partner. Those two are the starters, Hutch and Davenport. And then you got guys like Josh Pascal still around, El Quadra Muhammad, who they brought back, which I did like. And then it gets a little bit tricky from here. And you got Mitchell Agude, who's pretty much been a practice squad guy since he's been here. He might have dressed for one game last year. I don't remember, though, but he's pretty much a practice squad guy. Then you got the rookie, AHMED, HASSANEIN. And then you got Nate Lynn, who got hurt last year, who was looking decent in preseason. Isaac Ukwu, who's flashed a bit. And then they got another rookie, undrafted free agent, Keith Cooper Jr. So those are your defensive end depth chart. Not a lot of crazy competition there, in my opinion. Obviously, it's going to be tough to beat out guys like Pascal and Al Quadra Muhammad, who are nothing really special. Like Pascal, I think, has been kind of a disappointment. If you ask me, yeah, I really don't. I've kind of had it with Josh Pascal, but I don't run the football team. It's just my opinion. It'll be interesting to see what kind of happens. I really do like Al Quadra Muhammad. I don't see Ahmed beating him out right away. It'll be between Agude, Nate Lynn, Isaac Ukwu, and guys like Cooper Jr. That's what it's going to be. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be those type of camp battles. I don't think Hutchinson, Davenport are in any danger of losing their starting gigs. Obviously not Hutchinson, but Davenport, I don't think either, man. The crazy thing about Davenport is, man, he's got talent. He just can't stay healthy. He's actually a good defensive end. He's a big, massive defensive end, very long. He's very long. He's a big kid. He sets the edge. That's what this team really wants your defensive end, your edge player to do, is to be able to not only rush the quarterback, but they really want you to play the run well. And that's what we kind of get with Ahmed HASSANEIN, too, the rookie out of Boise State. What you're getting and I'm not making this a draft profile, but it's going to kind of sound a little bit like it. You're getting a high motor, relentless player that doesn't take plays off. He's 100% all the time. He's going to be the guy that you don't like in practice because he's going 150% all the time. He's that type of guy. I've run into those type of guys over the years. Some of those guys are great players. They turn out to be great players, but they don't have a chill button. They don't have a chill button. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. It never really bothered me because most of those guys were my boys anyways. But that's what you're going to get, 100%, 150% all the time from that kid. He's never taken a play off. He gets after the quarterback. He is a sack guy. 22 sacks in 2 years says that. He sets the edge. He can set the edge, but he can play too fast at times, and he will miss tackles. I think he had a 24.6 missed tackle rate last year, which is kind of high. Because he plays a little bit too fast, gets himself out of position. You got to remember, this kid's been only playing football for 6 years. Okay? And only playing college football for only 4, obviously, right? He played a couple of years in high school. It's crazy to me. It's actually crazy to me that this guy's only a 6-year guy and he got drafted in the NFL. But he does need to work on slowing down the game for himself, mentally, physically. He needs to slow it down a little bit because he does play a little bit too fast. He's going 100 miles an hour every single time. Though sometimes you really need to kind of pull the reins back a bit. So he's more of a bull rush type of guy. He's gonna push the pocket. He's gonna cause some chaos in the backfield. Obviously, doesn't have a variety of pass rush moves. I did see that. I watched some of his tape though. He has a pretty nice spin move. He has a pretty nice spin move that he does use, but he does rely a lot on that bull rush, and sometimes he doesn't get his hand placement down. And he needs to really work on that. Like I said, I'm not trying to make this a draft profile. I'm just trying to tell you what I think of him off the jump, just with very little. Like I studied him, but I didn't go in up too deep with him. Nice spin move, like I said, has to work on a pass rush. Then he needs to work on those pass rush techniques. And, he's in the NFL. He's going to get that, man. He's going to get that from Hutch. He's going to get that from Davenport, Muhammad. Those guys are going to take him under their wings, and they're going to have to teach this kid, man. And then if you watched his draft tape when he got drafted, he was in full-on tears talking to Dan Campbell, literally telling Dan Campbell that he would die on the field for him. The kid's emotional, man. The kid's emotional. He wears his heart on his sleeve. Even there's a video of him when he was talking. I think it was after a Boise State game. It's him, another player, and his coach. And his coach was like, man, he pretty much says at the podium, he's like, you've changed my life. We're glad that you've been a part of this program, blah, blah, this and that, man, saying all kinds of good things. And the kid just turns to him and goes, Coach, he's like, I love you. He's like, I love what you've done for me and my family. I'll never forget you. I love you. He's like, I really do, man. He's just an emotional kid. He's a sponge, man. He's a sponge. And he's a fan favorite right away. He's a fan favorite of many Lions fans already, just because of his emotion, just because of his draft day video of him crying. Then he asked his girlfriend to marry him. The kid's doing it the right way, man. The kid's doing it the right way. But bottom line, I think this is what we're getting. We're getting a prospect. And I only call him a project because, he does everything well, man. He does pass rush. He can, he needs to work on some of that, though. He needs to work on some of the techniques, some of the pass rush moves. He needs to get a little bit of a variety there. He can set the edge, but he does miss some tackles, some easier tackles that he should be made because he's playing with his ears on fire, his hair on fire. So he just needs to kind of slow the game down a little bit in his mind, in his head, in his whole body, just calm down. You know what I mean? And he's going to learn that from being on an NFL team. He's going to learn that. And, it's good. He has a really good defensive line coach in Casey Rogers that came over from Tampa Bay. Kelvin Shepard, the new defensive coordinator over here in Detroit. It's going to get interesting. And they're going to get this kid locked in. But that's what I'm saying. You get a prospect guy with tons of potential. Tons. I think the potential is there. He's physical. He's a hard worker. And is learning. He's just learning the game too, man. He's learning the nuances on how to be a D lineman. He even played defensive tackle for Boise for 2-3 years. So he's got a little bit of versatility there. I don't see him playing too much inside at 265, 270 pounds. But it's there. He's done it. He's a strong kid. Combine. He had a very nice combine. He was the kid that was barking at the position coaches or the drill coaches that were setting up the drills and running the drills. He was literally barking at the one coach. The coach was like, yeah, hell yeah. You know what I mean? It was just, he was fired up, yelling back at him, barking, saying whatever he could to him just to get the guys all fired up. And he's just a motor. He's a motor. But this is another guy that, don't expect anything right away. How much of an opportunity they're going to give this kid is kind of up in the air. Um, this could be a kid that if they do bring him up or they do dress him in a 53, still got to make the team. I think you will. I think he's going to be a situational pass rusher. That's what I think he'll be. But he's got to crack that 53, and there's no guarantee that he does. There's no guarantee he does. But like I said, you know, I don't think this defensive end room is very strong. You know, I'm one of those Lions fans that, you know, that gets kind of ridiculed for being obsessed with the defensive end room, thinking that we needed to get one. And apparently Holmes tried to trade up in this draft to get one, to get a defensive end, but this never materialized, and they didn't get one till the 6th round. So, like I've always said, Holmes is not going to draft a player just because I want a defensive end edge guy. Doesn't mean Holmes is going to go get one. Doesn't mean he's going to go get one. And apparently he tried. I don't know who they tried for. I couldn't tell you, but apparently he tried to move up in that draft to get one. I don't know when it was. Rumor has it was the 1st round, maybe early 2nd. But other than that, I don't really know. And we didn't pick one up until the 6th round, and it was this kid out of Boise State. And why he slipped in the draft, you know, that just goes to show you that, you know, that as fans, you know, you see you see the numbers, you see the film, you know, like you don't have the luxury of really anything else. You know, this kid's apparently a great kid though, so it's not like, you know, I don't know if he was a bad kid. He had a little bit of a troubled past when he was young. I think before he came back to the States, and maybe a little bit when he got back to the States, because he was a kid that was just like, you know, pulled away from America, went back home to Egypt, moved to Africa, you know, did all this thing, all these things. He had some trouble. He has a little bit of trouble as a youth, you know, sunk himself into like swimming, like basketball, all that kind of stuff. CrossFit. He was a CrossFit champion. So he's a super athlete. He's a ridiculous athlete. So that's the thing. Like, you know, we're getting a guy that just is learning the sport. This guy didn't know the sport back in 2018. Didn't even know what football was, probably. Didn't know. Like, he probably knew that his half-brother played, but that's really about it. Knew nothing about the game. I guess when he first played, he was a flag machine, grabbing guys by the face mask and throwing them around, you know, causing a lot of 15-yard penalties. He just didn't know the game. They had to harness him in, you know. And I think they've done a pretty great job of that. And, you know, the Lions have noticed that this kid has got potential through the roof. Now, what he's going to be here in 2025 is a mystery. Unless he blows these guys out of the water. If he blows guys like Pascal, Muhammad, Mitchell Agude, Nate Lynn, you know, Nate Lynn, who I thought was making some nice progress last year as a rookie, and he got hurt. He got hurt for the season. You know, Isaac Uku, I think, ended up getting banged up as well. And this Keith Cooper Jr., I don't know much about at all. So there's not a lot of competition for him per se. You know, nobody's beating out Hutch. Davenport, I think, is locked as the second guy too. But after that, you know, could Hassanein push Pascal? Could he push Muhammad? Could he push Agude? I think he could. I just don't really know what they're going to make of him in year one, because I think he's a project, developmental player, all the above. Check all those boxes right there. You know, he's a guy that can play the run, though. He can rush the quarterback. Needs to work on his game overall, and that's it. And that's it. And whatever happens in 2025 happens. They either take this kid in slow, or they throw him out to the wolves. I think they're going to take him in slow. He's only spent 6 years into an actual football. That's insane to me. That's just crazy. And I think he's going to be a guy that we might see later on down the road. But if this guy if this guy shows out in camp, shows out in preseason, then, you know, that's a whole other ball. That's a whole other story. That's a whole other story. But that's it, guys. That's the video, man. That's the kid we drafted in the 6th round. 2 more videos to go. Yeah, 2 more videos to go, and I'll get it out as soon as I can. But this is a late one too. It's like midnight, and I finally had a chance to get it done. So I was doing some stuff during the day. But thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate it. What do you guys think about the assassin HASSANEIN in the building, man? I'm excited for the kid. I'd like to see what happens. I think he's a project still, so I'm not expecting too much. Hopefully, I'm wrong on the kid. The kid just shows out, man. He don't have nothing. You don't have a choice but to play him. But we'll see. I think he's going to be a guy that just needs to be reeled in a little bit, and he needs to learn the nuances of being a defensive player in the NFL on the D-line. So what do you guys think about HASSANEIN as a Detroit Lion? I'm a little excited about it. Good stuff, guys. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on the bottom right. Don't forget to hit the notification bell up top. Don't forget to like, comment, share this out. Detroit versus everybody. Grit. Let's go, baby. Detroit. Boom.